Hi and welcome. I'm so excited to have you here today. I'm going to bring us through a heart opener sequence. It's going to be very mellow. We're not going to have to come up off of the mat much. We actually might do most of it seated and grounded. So I'm very excited for that. We are going to need some props. So blocks, books work, boxes work if they're sturdy enough. Pillows even can work. And then some type of strap or long unified rope of some sort. A scarf can work, a blanket can work, um, a strap can work, a piece of rope can work, anything, a belt that is long enough to where when you lift the arms up overhead, they can go back easily without any pain in the shoulders. So before you start this class, maybe press pause and make sure you have these by your sides. But then we'll meet back here and get started. So we're going to actually start in a reclined position with the block. So supported fish, we're going to bring the block between our shoulder blades. So essentially on the back, it looks like this. It goes right between our shoulder blades like this. So I will place it down and demonstrate. And if this is crazy too much for you, feel free to come down on a pillow. If it's not enough, you can come to the higher setting, depending on how open your chest, your heart already is. So the legs are going to come long, adjust that block, take time getting into this position, don't rush into it. Place that block comfortably between the shoulder blades. If you want to take the second block, you can, and have it there to place beneath the head. If it's not comfortable, to let the head hang. If it is comfortable, let it hang. Feel free to do whatever feels good here. I'm actually going to let this block come out. And then bring those arms, hands wherever is comfortable. So either out to the sides, up overhead more, or down by the sides. I want you to really feel an expansion in the shoulders. So today's class is really focused on opening the heart. So we start here in stillness, bursting that heart open and up towards the sky. Remembering to breathe. Every exhale melting us a little bit deeper over this support. As we begin this practice, I want you to think of one thing that has been weighing on your heart and imagine it as something that's hinged by many different strings. You know that phrase, strings attached. What is attached to your heart right now? Pulling at it. Today we're going to work on releasing those strings, attaching whatever is weighing on your heart one by one. Keeping the breath smooth and long. Hopefully, as we settle further, feeling some type of release or opening, even in the slightest, in the chest part area. Before we move out of our supported fish towards the remainder of the class, we're going to bring your arms, no matter where they are, down towards the hips. If you want, you can grab that other block. If you don't have another block, if you don't have something to hold on to, I want you to imagine squeezing a block between the hands down above your hips. Now from here, we're going to bring those arms, those blocks, up over our face and bring that block up overhead until the block is just about touching the floor up above our head. And from here, bring the block up over the face, arms extended, gentle squeeze of the block. If the block isn't actually physically there for you, imagine a gentle squeeze of that block. Hands come down by the hips, block hovers. And lift it up and over, inviting some synovial fluid into those shoulder joints, getting things moving. Extend those arms up overhead. The block is just touching the floor. Then lift up and over the face. Hands extend down by the hips. We'll take one more of these. Imaginary squeeze of that block or gentle squeeze of that block. Arms up overhead. And exhale. Bring that block back down towards the hips. Lay it off to one side. Gently roll one side or the other to take that block, that prop, whatever was beneath your shoulder blades, out from underneath. Set it off to the side. And we'll take one more exercise lying down here before we even move to a seat. So bring those soles of the feet flat to the mat, knees bent up towards the sky, as if we're coming into a bridge, but we're not going to. So our arms are going to come out into a 90-90 setup. So the elbows have a 90-degree angle at them, straight out from the shoulders. Then the fingertips are reaching up away from the elbows in line with our head. So from here, I want you to drag those arms. So imagine the forearms, the elbows, the triceps, every part of your hand that's down on the mat here in this goalpost setup. If you were looking top down at yourself, you'd have that goalpost set up in your arms. I want you to drag those arms straight up overhead. So the fingers, imagine someone pulling the fingers up overhead, but the forearms, the elbows, the biceps, the triceps, they all stay in contact with the mat as much as you can, and then you drag them back down to where we started. This is actually sometimes easier with the legs extended, so if that's easier for you, feel free to extend them. Then reach those fingers up overhead again, keeping everything in contact with the mat. This should be a little difficult, especially in the shoulders. Then bring the elbows back down to 90 degrees. We're going to take 3 more of these. Keep pressing as if you're trying to pinch a piece of paper between the forearms and the floor. Fingers reach up overhead. Elbows come down. We have 2 more like this. Fingers reach up overhead. Long body. Long arms. Extend. Pull the triceps, elbows, forearms in contact with the mat. Extend the arms. Long. Rising up overhead. Elbows back to 90. And we'll take 1 more here. So drag those arms along the floor. Reach up overhead. This time I want you to extend long, fingers reaching long, feet reaching long. Take a full body stretch. Maybe welcome a yawn. A sigh. Anything that feels good. It is naturally coming to the body. Then release. Bring those hands by the sides. And just give yourself a moment to notice how much work we've done in that chest already without really moving much on our mat. Bring the feet together. Point the toes. Hands up over the face. Clasp the left thumb on the outside of the right hand and the left left pinky around the right thumb, so our hands are kind of topped, one on top of each other like this. Now, we're going to take a big inhale, reach those fingers up overhead, and then exhale, shoot yourself up with energy into a seat, so the shoulders are stacked over hips. So inhale and exhale, shoot all the way up, using a bit of momentum, but also using that core strength. We're going to come into a reverse table setup. So the fingertips are reaching out to the sides of the mat. Maybe adjust yourself back a little bit. My hands are just outside my hips and behind a little bit. Feet are flat to the mat, just about hip width distance. Then I'm going to lift from my pelvis. So my pelvis is tucking towards my belly button, pressing into the centers of my heels and pressing up into a reverse table. Now you're really going to feel this in the chest, the shoulders, lifting up and away through the chest, while pulling the tailbone long down towards the knees, tucking the pelvis, engaging the abdomen. Maybe let the head go if that feels good. Pressing into the heels, toes lifted, but feet are grounded. Glutes activated. Then calm down, hips down, and come into a seat. I'm going to come into an easy seat. If that isn't comfortable for you, I invite you to come to a hero or wherever you can be comfortable with the shoulders stacked over hips. Maybe that's even kneeling with the hips stacked over the knees. We're going to take some shoulder flossing. So shoulder flossing is really, really good for our shoulders. It's one of those things that I've heard said that if you do one thing for yoga a day, do your shoulder flossing. So this is where we need our scarf, our strap, our blanket, whatever we have here. We're going to take those hands about knee width distance for me here, but feel where it's comfortable. Maybe take a test run where you're lifting those arms up and over and back, and then lifting them back up and over. So what we're trying to avoid here is this, where I'm shooting my chest forward, my hips are back of my chest. What I want is a perfect stacking. So my shoulders stay put, my hips stay put, and all I'm doing is opening up and over. There's no splaying in my spine, forward or back. It might mean that you take your hands wider on the strap than you might want to. But take those straps, those blankets, those scarves up and over. This should feel intense but no pain. So I want you to find sensation as you're doing these, but not too much sensation. Up and over. Up and over. Keep those hips, whatever is in contact with the mat, grounded. Shoulders stacked over the hips. Abdomen is nice and engaged. Up and over. We're going to take 5 more like this. Wherever you are at your pace. Working really hard to keep everything still except that the arms and shoulders are rotating up and over. I have 2 more like this. Inhale, engage the abdomen. Good. Now, wherever you are, release that strap off to the side. Take those shoulders, or those fingers, to the shoulders and lift the elbows parallel with the mat. Take some circles, lifting the shoulder or the elbows up towards the sky, pulling them forward, down, and back. Up, forward, down, and back. Take these circles here. It should feel very good working them out after doing our shoulder flossing. Then switch directions. Good. All Release those hands down. Pull the shoulders down towards the hips. You can activate it so much that you physically feel that stretch down your neck, down the outsides of your shoulders here, and shove that chest forward and up as if someone's pressing their foot between the shoulder blades on the back body, keeping you nice and stacked in the spine, shoulders over hips. Then release, take those hands to the knees. Take a cow here, or a cat, tucking the belly to the spine, chin to the chest, getting a counter in all of this chest opening that we're doing. And bring it back to an easy seat. Let's take it over onto hands and knees, coming into our table. From table, we're going to inhale this right arm up towards the sky. Maybe just the elbow extends, maybe the arm extends, if that's available to you. If you're out like this, I want you to bring just the elbow towards the sky so that you're really feeling that stacking of the shoulders. Then, wherever you are, I want you to reach around that right hand towards the left hip. So this is going to ignite an opening in that right shoulder, opening up to the right side. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. And release. Come down into our table. Between sides, we'll take puppy. So in puppy, from our table, I'm shifting back on my mat just a little bit so I stay on. But my knees stay beneath my hips. My hips don't jut behind my knees. I walk my hands forward, pressing my chest and chin down to the mat, gaze towards the thumbs. My heart is melting towards the floor between my shoulders. Even though it feels like we want to pinch the shoulder blades together here, continue to protract them, spread them apart. Eventually, your chest will melt all the way to the floor. Chin to floor, gaze towards the thumbs. A really nice heart opener. Then start to press into the hands. Walk the hands back beneath the shoulders, and we'll take that opening on the left side. So lift either that left elbow or left arm all the way to the sky, feeling a twist, and then guide that left hand to the right hip. Once you find that, imagine someone pulling that left shoulder open even more to the left side, feeling an opening in the chest, the shoulders. And then slowly release that left hand down to the mat. Walk it out. Come into our puppy. Again, extend the hands forward. Drop the chest down. Hips over the knees. Shoulders are protracting. Continue to breathe. Then press into the hands. Walk those hands back beneath your shoulders, coming into a table. Come back to sit on the heels. If that's not comfortable, you can bring a block beneath the hips, coming into hero, or you can come into an easy seat. Whatever is more comfortable, if this is uncomfortable on the knees or the ankles. Okay, we're going to take this strap again and take another heart opener. We're going to take our arms up overhead, and I'll demonstrate from the back here for just a second. We're going to drop that left arm down behind us, bend at the left elbow, then reach and try to find that left hand with the right. Now, if this isn't happening for you and you can't find those hands to come together, when you bring this right arm up, take the strap with you. Then when you bend this left arm down behind you, you're going to inch your hands together on that strap, blanket, whatever it is, to where you feel a stretch opening in that chest. Now, this is another one where, just like we did with our shoulder flossing, we want to make sure that this isn't happening. We don't have a banana back here. Our shoulders are stacked over our hips. Imagine a wall in front of you and behind you, and your chest, your upper body is perfectly in the center of the two. I'm going to set this strap to the side. But if you're using that strap, feel free to continue to inch your hands together, eventually drawing the fingers and hands together. Never go beyond your point of comfort. Injury is never worth it. And we'll start to release. I want you to keep that left hand exactly where it is and draw this right arm out and down. So my left hand is still in the center of my back. My right hand is reaching down to the mat. I'm lifting the crown of my head up and away, and then I'm tilting that head over to the right side. So I'm getting a really big stretch in the left neck, the left shoulder. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. Then gently guide that head up and release that left arm down. Take a few sun breaths here, inhaling arms up and exhaling down. Inhale, exhale, getting to where we feel equal on both sides. And then we'll take the other side. So this time we'll reach the arms up and reach that right arm down and behind us. Again, either take this strap here where you grab the strap and you inch the hands together like so. Try to keep the shoulders stacked on the hips without creating banana back. And settle here. If you'd like, you can drop that strap. Bring the left arm back and find the fingertips, drawing the hands together to open your heart center, your chest that way. Take whatever is in your practice, whatever is comfortable in your body, and breathe. Inhale and exhale. Maybe even close your eyes and breathe into the space where you feel the most sensation. And slowly release, letting that right hand stay where it is in the center of the back. Let the left arm come down. Then drop that right shoulder even more and lift the head up and over, getting a stretch in the right side of the neck. So we're stretching all in here, releasing all of this neck down the shoulder and feeling the opening from our hand behind our back at the same time. Then gently lift the head, release the arm, and take those sun breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, until we feel equilibrium in both sides. Very nice. Exhale. Good. This time, come into our table. Remove any props you have from beneath your hips. And we're going to come into a dolphin. So dolphin is another great prep heart opener. It's great for forearm stand prep. We won't come into a forearm stand today. We're keeping it a little bit more mellow. But this is a great one to work in opening up the heart. So in order to come into dolphin, I want you to bring your hands down either parallel like this, like you would come into a forearm stand, shoulder width distance. If your shoulders feel funky, some people this doesn't work for. I actually really like bringing my fingers together and crossing the first few, and coming into a sturdier base with my hands for a dolphin. So if you want to take that variation, feel free. If you want to keep your hands parallel, feel free to do that. And you can play with it and come down and adjust what feels better for your shoulders. Now you're going to bring those knees as close to the elbows as you can. So we're playing with the flexibility of the hamstrings here in dolphin, but bring those knees as close to the elbows as you can. Then from here, toes are tucked. We're pressing into the elbows. Then we're lifting the hips up and back, coming into dolphin. So it's very much like down dog, but we're down on our forearms. So from here, press into the outer elbow, the inner thumb to press your head away, and the shoulders are pressing back, or the heart center is pressing back towards the shins. We're going to hold for 5, actively pressing, 4, 3, 2, inhale, 1, and lower those knees. Very good. Take an extended puppy like we've been taking between sides. Walk those hands forward, knees stacked beneath the hips. Drop that heart center down, chin to the floor. Gaze towards the thumbs. Feel those shoulders protracting. Then press into the hands. Slowly ripple vertebrae by vertebrae until you come down on your tummy. The hips come down, elbows come down. We're coming into a Sphinx. So Sphinx is another great heart opener. The feet come about mat width distance. So they're spread a little wider than normally, just sticking straight down from the hips. The elbows are stacked right beneath the shoulders. Hands are spread right in front of the elbows, so straight out from the elbows. You'll find your hands, the fingers are spread wide. That pointer finger is pointing to the very top of the mat. Then the rest of the fingers are kind of off to the side. The thumb is on the inside of that. Now I want you to imagine pressing those hands, those forearms, those elbows down into the mat and dragging them back to the hip points. Then the hip points, I want you to imagine pressing the hip points, the pelvis, the tops of the feet, the tops of the thighs. Press them as hard as you can into the mat and drag them towards the elbows. So we're pressing both sides of the body here into the mat and dragging them towards each other. This is causing that heart center to open and push through the shoulders, shoulders drawing down and back towards the hips. This is also a little bit of a baby back bend. If you feel any pinching in the back, I want you to come just a little bit forward in your chest and play with opening your heart from there. If you're advanced here and this feels easy, you can press into those palms, lift those elbows, and come into seal. Again, if there's pinching in the low back, come out to the prior option. We don't want any pinching anywhere we go in our back bends or heart openers. Take a few more breaths here. Really pulling the mat back towards the hips, pulling the hips back towards the elbows, and then release. Let the elbows come wide, fingertips pillow beneath the forehead, come flat down to the mat on your tummy. Lift the knees, sway, or lift the heels towards the sky. Sway the legs left and right, getting a release in the low back. And let the legs come down flat, reach the arms out into a T. From here, we're going to take another shoulder opener. This is a great reclined shoulder opener. Very gentle, but very effective. Bring those fingertips of the right hand tented beneath the right elbow to start. Then from here, lift that right leg up and cross it over the left. So we're twisting onto that left shoulder That left hand is directly out from the left shoulder in a T on the left side of the body. We're twisting over, getting an opening in that shoulder, and maybe that right foot reaches back towards the hand, opening that hip. If you want a bit more in the shoulders, you can lift that right arm up and imagine pulling the hands together in prayer behind your back one day, opening those shoulders even more. And let that right arm come down. Right fingertips beneath the right elbow. Drag that right foot back down to meet the left. Let the left fingertips come in, tented under the left elbow. Right arm comes out into a T. We're going to press into the left fingertips. Lift the left leg, cross it over the right, and come into that twist with the right shoulder. If you want, you can play with lifting that left hand off of the mat and reach it back and around towards the right hand. And bring that left arm down. Come back to your tummy. Both hands come in just to about mat width distance, and we're going to take some king cobras here. So king cobra is a bit of a back bend, but it's also very yummy for the heart center. So king cobra, I want you to imagine a wave starting at your tailbone. You're starting at your tailbone. It's moving through each vertebrae. It moves through the lower back, the middle back, the upper back. It moves through your shoulders. Your head is the last to rise. Now notice here, I'm pressing into my hands and I feel great. I'm in king cobra, but my hip points are lifted. What I want to do is come further down so that my hips do not leave the mat. My pelvis does not leave the mat. This is actually going to provide more of a heart opener than if you just escaped it by bringing the hips off of the mat. That's also going to pinch your low back, which is not what we want. So fingertips are tented. You're going to drag the hands back towards the hips back towards the hands like we did in our Sphinx. Lift, tailbone, wave underneath the spine. Everything rises slowly and only come to where those hip points, that pelvis, is sturdy in contact with the mat. You're pressing that heart center forward, shoulders are drawing down and back, and you're pulling those hands back towards the hips to create openness in that chest. Then come down slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Take one more like that. Stay heavy in the neck, the shoulders, the head. Round up. King cobra. Hips and pelvis down. And come all the way down to your tummy. Press into the hands. Tuck the toes. Press hips back towards the heels. Come into your child's pose. These can be wide or close, depending on what type of child's pose you want to take. And slowly ripple up through table. We're going to come into one more variation of puppy. This is where we need those blocks, books, something that has a little bit of height, maybe 2 pillows, but I'm going to put my blocks on the medium setting in front of me, about shoulder width distance, slightly wider. Now I'm going to bring my elbows down to those blocks and then let that heart center melt down towards the mat like we do in our typical puppy, but with the blocks helping us. So my hips are not going behind my knees. My hips are still staying stacked over my knees, and then I'm coming down into my puppy on my blocks. My heart is melting down. My hands can come in prayer overhead, getting a really nice opening in my chest. This feels really good in the triceps as well. And start to gently come up out of your puppy. Move those blocks out to the side. And we're going to come into Hero. Reclined Hero is my favorite. If that's not available to you, feel free to take a variation that isn't as intense. If you can, bring those hips between the feet. If that's not an option, take your hips to the feet or to a block between your legs and lean back, opening the heart center like so. Imagine a foot between the shoulder blades, pressing the heart towards the sky. Shoulders down and back towards the hips. If that is comfortable, stay there. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can bring the hips between the feet. And from here, walk those hands back. And maybe just take the heart opener here, if this is enough. Again, keep that chest lifting up and forward. If you want to take it even further, you can come down to your forearms. If you want to take it even further than that, you can come down to your back. Now, being on your back versus when you're just kneeling and leaning back, it's a little bit different of a heart opener. Here, you get the heart opener by lifting those arms up and over like we did when we were on the floor earlier. We kind of have our arms out into like a 90-90 angle, and you just find that space where you feel that sensation of a heart opener happening here. Rest in your leaning hero, reclined hero, wherever you are. If you are in your reclined hero, start to bring those hands towards the feet. Come back onto the forearms, coming out the exact way we came in. Then back to a seat, shoulders stacked over the heels. And then bring those knees forward. If you're just in your hero reclined, scoot those feet out to the side, come down to your hips, and come down to a seat. Everyone meeting in the middle of their mat in a seat. So we're going to take the hands facing backward on our mat. So the fingers are reaching to the back edge of the mat. I'm actually going to scoot back so that my hands are really kind of flush with the back edge of the mat. Now from here, what I'm going to do is scoot those hips forward and just kind of get to a point where I feel an opening in my shoulders happening. I don't want to get so compact here that I can't breathe, that it's so uncomfortable I don't know how I'm going to get out. I want you to come to where you find sensation and then rest there. Then maybe extend those feet if you want a little bit more. And breathe. Keep imagining that foot between the shoulder blades, pressing the heart forward and up. And then slowly come out the way that we came in. Walking those hands towards the hips. Take those hands into our reverse table setup, the hands off to the sides, behind our hips. Feet are about hip width distance, heels down, feet grounded, toes can lift. And then we lift pelvis towards the sky, towards the belly button, and come into our reverse table. I want you to notice how this might feel different than the table that we took at the beginning of class. Maybe you feel there's more space, that you can press your shoulders, your heart towards the sky than there was before. Then let the hips come down. Scoot them back, maybe without even dropping them. Bring them back and let them come down. Just kind of sway out. Your shoulders should feel really good, really open right now. Just take a moment to notice. Reach those arms up overhead. Reach them back. So bend those knees a little bit, really grounding those heels into the mat. Getting sturdy here. Reach those arms up overhead and back. Imagining taking a back bend here. So the hips are pressing back towards the edge of the mat and shoulders are pressing back, but the tummy, the middle of the back is pressing forward. Hold here for 5. Reaching as far back as you can with the arms. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Extend the legs, bend over the legs. Find a forward fold. Collarbones pulling towards the toes, toes flexed towards the face. And slowly round up through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Scoot those hips slightly forward. Knees can stay bent, soles of the feet flat to the mat. Last little bit of activation here. Imagine squeezing that block in front of you, maybe even take it there if you have it. Gentle squeeze. We're going to place the low back, vertebrae by vertebrae down, tucking the belly button to the spine, then placing the middle back, vertebrae by vertebrae, slowly coming down to our mat. Then the upper back, vertebrae by vertebrae, all the way down. If you have that real block or an imaginary block, bring it all the way up overhead. Extend long. And then bring it up over the face and release it out to one side or the other. Coming down to start to settle into a brief Shavasana. Let the feet splay out, relaxing through the hips. Let the abdomen release, the jaw, the shoulders, the neck. Let everything release. Notice where you feel most open in your body. Hopefully it's your heart center, your chest, your shoulders, but notice where today's practice helped you. That one thing that weighs heavy on your heart. Do you feel that the strings that were attached at the beginning of class, do you feel the space we've created has let any of them go, released any of them, like a balloon floats up into the sky? Keep working on this open heart. Keep working on yourself. In time, all will come. I invite you to stay here in your Shavasana as long as you would like. Thank you so much for joining me on the mat today. I hope to see you again here soon. Namaste.